Hello and welcome to War of the Stars, a Star Wars podcast. Coming to you as always from deep within the Outer Rim and far beyond the watchful eyes of the Galactic Empire. My name is John Mark Tolley, and joining me as always
is Garrett K. Jones. How's everybody doing up there in the galaxy?
Well, everything is going great here. Busy day, and but we're here. We're here to talk Star Wars.
Yes, we are. Specifically, we're here to talk Star Wars Shadows of the Empire.
Yes.
This is actually one of my favorite offshoots of the canon. It's considered no longer canon now because of everything under Disney. Mm-hmm. But it was a really cool project because this came out back in 1996 when I was going from middle school to high school. And it was a multimedia project that Lucasfilm had put together. The story actually takes place between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, for those of you who are not familiar with Shadows of the Empire. Mm-hmm. And it fits within that time frame. The whole point is that Luke and Leia are looking for Han. They're trying to find where Boba Fett is going and trying to track him down. In the meantime, there's a bounty that's been put out on Luke's head by an anonymous source, and they start interacting with the leader of a criminal organization called Black Sun. That leader's name is Prince Shizor. And little do Luke and Leia know that Shizor is actually the person who put the contract out on Luke anonymously, and he's doing it to eliminate Luke, because if he can do that, it will make Vader look bad in the eyes of the Emperor, and Shizor wants to take Vader's place. And things come to an absolute head. And some of the things that get explained in the story are like how Leia gets her Bouche bounty hunter costume, how Lando gets his bounty hunter costume that we see in Return of the Jedi. It explains how Luke builds his new lightsaber between the events of Empire and Return. A lot of cool things that are well done. Steve Perry, not the lead singer of Journey, but an author who's done a lot in science fiction, especially in IPs like Predator, Aliens, and Star Wars. Wrote the story. And it was a multimedia project. So there was a video game, a role-playing game, trading cards, a soundtrack, a comic book series, which was condensed into a graphic novel, a full novel, which I have both the graphic novel and the actual book. They did a junior novelization, model kits, posters, micro machines, all sorts of stuff, and it had some really, really cool characters that were introduced into the canon.
Oh yeah, definitely. And today we're going to be doing a fancast.
Yes,
So what I'm thinking for this, do you want to do something where we'll do character by character, and you tell who you would cast, and I'll go who I would cast, and we'll kind of talk about why we would cast each person.
Yeah,
and kind of go down the list.
Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll introduce, because there are three main major characters that are at play in this story. Okay. So obviously we've got Emperor Palpatine, Vader, Luke, Leia, Lando, Chewbacca, and the droids, and the supporting Rebel and Imperial cast. But as far as main major characters, you have Prince Shizor, who is a Phaleen. We've seen the Phaleen in the Star Wars canon, mostly in animation.
Mm-hmm. They did show up in Obi-Wan. They were one of them was one of the ones who attempted to kidnap the young Princess Leia.
Yes. And the Phaleen, if you're not familiar with them, they have the ability of controlling pheromones. Their skin color changes depending on their mood and what kind of pheromone they're controlling. Then you have a character by the name of Guri. Guri is she's a female-based human android. So she looks very human. She's got hair, skin, she passes for a real person so easily. It's hard to tell that she is even robotic, but she has the processing ability, the stamina, the everything that a robot would have, but a very, very human personality and skill set. Like, I mean, just looking at her, you wouldn't be able to tell at all that she is a robot.
Mm-hmm.
And lastly, we have a new rebel character by the name of Dash Rendar.
Yes.
He is a Corellian, just like Han Solo, and he is he's a bit of a scoundrel too, but he's a new guy. He's actually a veteran from the Battle of Hoth.
Okay.
Princess Leia, Chewbacca, and Lando to help locate Boba Fett's ship.
All right.
So go ahead and present your list.
All right. Well, I'm going to start off with the easiest ones first for me. Well, when I was going through this, I was thinking of your holy trilogy, if you will, of Luke, Leia, and Lando. And my thinking, first of all, I had to ask myself the question: are we at the point now where we can deep fake everything from an entire movie, or do we just want to completely recast? And for me, I'm going to go with a complete recast, just because I don't know if we're at that point technology-wise where we can do an entire movie with a deep fake character, where after a couple hours it won't be like, this looks really off. I think we're still at that point where it's 20, 30, a few scenes, it's fine, like what they've done in Mandalorian. So for Luke Skywalker, I'm going easy, Sebastian Stan.
Yeah,
I think that's an easy call. Yeah. What about you? What do you think?
I'm with you, like right there with Sebastian Stan. I mean, I've seen the mock-ups on social media about how he could easily pass for a younger Mark Hamill.
Yeah,
it's almost uncanny, like with the long hair and everything. I think he would be a good fit for the character.
Yeah,
he's a good actor, and I think that's a good ringer.
Yeah. Same thing, easy for me with Lando. Donald Glover.
He's already established.
He's already established that the character. Now with Leia, I'm going back and forth between two people: Millie Bobby Brown and Billy Lord.
I was thinking about that earlier today. I'm like, who would I cast as Leia if I would recast the original team?
I lean, just because of the family connection with Carrie Fisher, I lean slightly more towards Billy Lord, just slightly, but I could easily see Millie Bobby Brown doing that role too.
Oh yeah, and there's been fan art of Millie Bobby Brown as Princess Leia. Look the part. I mean, she looks very much like a young Carrie Fisher.
Yeah. Very
so
much.
I think that would be a good fit. But for me, using Billy Lord, while that I think would be a natural jumping off point, the problem we have there is that she is already recognizable in the sequel trilogy.
This is true.
Because she pops up as Lieutenant Comics throughout The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and The Rise of Skywalker, and it doesn't do well because and like that's the one thing that Star Wars has done well, where they haven't like just recast young actors for newer roles. They have, as far as like animation, they have, but for live action, they have not done that.
Yeah. Now,
so I would go with Bobby Brown as well. I've been watching through the MonsterVerse films. She's only in 2 of them so far. I like her. She's a good young actress. And I think she would fit the part, especially considering the fact that there's about a 10 to 12 year age difference between her and Billy Lord. Because Billy Lord's 31, Millie Bobby Brown's about 19 or 20, and we're dealing with we're dealing with a younger version of the characters because this is, like I said, this is right after Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah. Let's see. Who else do we have now? The Emperor. I mean, come on. Can it be anyone other than Ian McDermott?
Yeah, we have to keep him because he's an iconic role. However, if we were to use deepfake on that, while you could probably dub the voice with dialogue pilfered and from recordings of Ian McDermott, Sam Witwer has done the voiceover work for Palpatine on numerous projects. He does a spot-on Palpatine.
Yes.
But like you could do the deepfake stuff and have him do the voiceover, and it would be really excellent.
And I think the same. I think you can, when you're talking Boba Fett. Now it's been a while since I've looked at I've read the novel or the graphic novel, but if you go with him not taking his helmet off, then there's no reason why Temu couldn't Morrison couldn't continue to play Boba Fett. I think if you're going to keep that continuity, at least to do the voice,
or at the very least, D. Bradley Baker, who does the voice of the Clone Wars series. And
with Vader, you can put anyone in the suit.
Yeah.
I mean, really, if you're gonna have scenes with him, even like fleeting scenes outside the suit, I think at this point, I would still put Hayden Christensen. At least, and then obviously we have the recordings of what's his name?
James Earl Jones.
James Earl Jones. Here's my Star Wars card. I'm handing it back in.
Wow.
I know, right? To do the voice, we still have recordings that we can, they can use to do the voice, but
who fucking picked the podcaster?
I know. So I think we got now we get to the interesting ones.
Well, the nice thing here's one of the nice things about Shadows of the Empire is that we do not have to worry about recasting Han Solo because he's frozen carbonite through the entire thing. He's
exactly
a block of ice.
Exactly. So, starting with Dash.
Okay.
I was going back and forth on this one, and there's a couple of names that when I was kind of looking up, like who could play Dash Rendar, kind of get some ideas. Chris Pratt's name came up. Chris Evans, and a couple others, but I'm not going with any of those. I'm going with something that might be a little out of the box, but he's played a character similar to Dash in another series, and that is Nathan Fillion.
Oh yeah. I think at this point though, if we're going with if we're to film this now, Nathan Fillion I think would be a little bit too old.
Okay, I can see that.
He's in his early 50s.
Yeah.
And Dash is kind of he's a younger guy.
Okay.
At least late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah.
And while I think
Fillion would have been good if the movie had been made during the time of, let's say, Firefly.
Yes, absolutely.
He would have been a perfect Dash Rendar.
Years ago,
because the character he played in Firefly was basically that type of a character.
Yeah, it was my choices for Dash Rendar, the first one would be Liam Hemsworth, because if you throw a beard on him, he looks like, if you look at the images of Dash Rendar from the graphic novel, it's a dead ringer. He's got the same hairstyle. He got the beard. He would fit the part very well. So long as he doesn't play it too stoically, I think he would be fine.
Yeah.
The other actor that stood out to me is Jack Rayner, and if you're not familiar with Jack Rayner, he played opposite the gal who played Yelena Belova in Black Widow. He was in the movie Midsummer. He played her boyfriend, and he gets killed partway through the movie. But he also plays the boyfriend of Mark Wahlberg's daughter in Transformers: Age of Extinction.
Okay.
He's got that, like, he's a driver, he's a wheelman. He's got that sassy attitude. He's knowledgeable about things, but at the same time, he's willing to fire back with that snark. And I think that would be a very good casting choice because he's an actor that flies under the radar. He's kind of the perfect age for the character, and I think he would do well. My only concern is that because the age difference between him, well, it wouldn't really matter because there's no romantic interest between him and between Dash and Leia. So I don't think that would really make much of an issue.
Yeah.
Although, Carrie Fisher was what? Early 20s when she got cast as Princess Leia, and Harrison Ford was already in his 30s by that point.
Yeah. Now, I admit I'm not that familiar with the second character that you mentioned. So I really have no frame of reference.
Or
no, not Zizor.
Guri. So Guri is this is one of the things I liked about her. She was a leggy blonde, very, very attractive. And like I said, she passes very easily for human, all the right human emotions and responses, but she's very analytical, very tactical. And actually, I only had one choice for this. Like I could have gone with Scarlett Johansson. Like obviously she could pull off being a blonde very well.
Yeah.
But my go-to on this is Catherine Winnick from Vikings.
Okay. Yeah.
She played Lagertha, and oh my gosh, she's on ABC's Big Sky, the cop procedural detective show. She played opposite David Boreanaz, playing a potential love interest in Bones. She's a very, very capable actress. I think she would do very well looking the part as Guri. She's like, as I was looking at, I went through the graphic novel. I'm just looking at the characters, and I'm like, that's the first thing that popped in my head is Catherine Winnick.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I will defer to you on that. Now, Prince Zizor.
This one was a little bit harder for me to cast. Who did you have in mind?
I was looking at someone who could play someone somewhat regal, somewhat, because every picture I've seen of him, description, he seems, very kind of regal, very
exotic.
And what's that?
There's something very exotic about him.
Yeah. Obviously, you'd have to do makeup, but Benedict Cumberbatch, tall, thin. Yeah, I thought him. Maybe Fassbender.
I think Michael Fassbender like the way he plays characters, especially villains, where he's just like cool and calculated. I think that would be a good fit.
Mm-hmm.
It would add to the creep factor because there's a point about 2/3 of the way through the story where Chizor tries to pull the moves using his pheromone control on Leia to convince her to do what he wants her to do and manipulate her.
Yeah.
And having someone who is, there is a substantial age difference between the actor playing Chizor and the actress playing Leia I think that would be a very, I think that would work very well.
Now, here's an out of the box idea. It's simply because, and I say this simply because he's played a character with that similar kind of creepy, able to manipulate, and that is David Tennant.
Yes,
he played Purple Man in the Jessica Jones, and kind of had that same kind of creep, and you still have that age difference.
Yeah,
with Tennant being.
I had actually, for my selections, I had actually gone with either Tom Hiddleston.
Ooh, I could see that.
Because I like Tom Hiddleston. Like is, because he can play that cool and seething character, but at the same time, he there's something about him.
You want someone who can be both creepy, but at the same time engaging. You're drawn in.
Yeah,
them.
and And I also would have gone with Mads Mikkelsen, except for the fact that he's already played Galen Urso. So that kind of took him out of the running.
Yeah.
There are a couple of other decent actors out there that I think would do well. Because we don't have to necessarily stick with European actors. There are plenty of solid actors from Asia and India that I think would do very well, or with Prince Caesar, because like looking at how the Clone Wars depicted them, like because they do show up in Clone Wars, but it does like the way that they're presented, especially there's one particular episode where they have facial hair, and the facial hair looks almost like it has an Asian influence to it. Like there's one character with almost like his name is Zatan Maj, and he almost has like a Fu Manchu style going on. And so there are some really good actors coming out of Japan, out of China, Korea, and even India that I think would be very well suited to this type of role.
Yeah. Do you think do you think that you want to stay with? I mean, Donald Glover. I would call Donald Glover a relatively unknown actor, but kind of like what Star Wars did, where you kind of have maybe one or two names that are somewhat known, but most of them are going to be more unknown. Or do you want to go with like at least one big name that was going to draw? That's kind of why I did a Benedict Cumberbatch, to get that one name that's going to draw people in. That's going to be like, that's the marquee, like, Or do you go more with kind of smaller?
Some other actors that I think would do really well, like Hiroyuki Sanada. He has done so much with Marvel and other sci-fi projects. He was in the 2013 Wolverine film. He was in Avengers Endgame. He's the Yakuza boss that gets killed by Hawkeye. He would. I mean, I think he would make for a good. He's played villains characters. He's played heroic characters. He's played everything in between. And he's probably the thing that he's best known for at this point in the last couple of years has been playing Scorpion in the remake of Mortal Kombat. So he would be a good fit. But then another one would be Tadanobu Asano, who played Hogan, one of the Warrior 3 in the Thor films. He would actually do really well because he has played villainous characters as well. In the movie 47 Ronin, for example, with Keanu Reeves, he plays an emperor that he kind of there's a coup and he takes over and he starts killing all of these samurai, and there's 47 of them left to protect the true emperor. And so I think he would do very well in that kind of a role. He doesn't necessarily have to be an older actor, but I think he would be probably a solid choice. For audiences to kind of connect with. So those are all those are some of my suggestions as well.
Now we come down to, for me, and this is, I didn't even really think about this, but I think it's just as important as casting as directing. Who do you get as director? Because I was just started thinking about, like, who do you get as director
for something like this? So we've been talking about casting and all that, like, and part of the big casting decision is who you have to direct, and you're absolutely right. I hadn't even thought about this.
Yeah, I didn't either. Like, it just like popped in my mind, like, wait a minute, you have all these. Where do you go with? I mean,
my first thought is I would actually go outside of what Disney has been, who Disney has been using lately.
Okay.
I would be directors who can do something and do something very well. One of my favorite directors, he's kind of an indie director, but he's not exactly an indie director, but he's become really popular. Is Robert Eggers.
Okay. Yeah.
And,
yeah.
Robert Eggers he did the 2015 movie The Witch.
Okay.
He directed The Lighthouse in 2019, which had Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson. He directed The Northman, which had Alexander Skarsgård, and then the other films that he did was what was it? I think he would be a good choice.
Mm-hmm.
The other one would be David Lowery.
Okay.
And David Lowery is the director he's the guy who directed The Green Knight from 2 years ago.
All right.
With
Okay.
Patel and Alicia Vikander. His work is really good. Like his use of color palettes, his cinematography, absolutely amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think those would be good filmmakers for a project like this. But there are, I think going with someone who's not usually part of the Star Wars or Marvel or Disney cavalcade of filmmakers would probably be the best way to go.
Yeah, I agree. I hadn't really got to give it much thought, so I didn't even. Yeah. Those are some good choices. Good choices. And then like the rest of the cast can just be, extras and whoever.
Right. I mean, we can always bring in, if provide Anthony Daniels is still around.
Yeah.
Can do the voice of
C-3PO.
C-3PO.
Yes.
Although 3PO doesn't have, I mean, he's there in the story, but he doesn't have as much of a presence in Shadows of the Empire as say R2-D2 does.
Yes. I think that's pretty. I think we covered quite a bit there.
Yeah, we did. I mean, I think this is probably one of our. I don't know. This is one I really wanted to have fun with because
I had a lot of fun with it.
Like I said, this is one of my favorite stories in all of Star Wars because it fills in a lot of gaps that take place between the films, and it answers a lot of questions like how does Luke develop his green lightsaber? Why does he develop it? And we mentioned last week like he uses actually. You didn't mention that. It's something that I was watching is that he actually used one fewer crystal because there's supposed to be crystals in it. He used one instead of two. I don't remember all the ins and outs of it. I haven't read the book in quite a while, but it's the fact that we get to go back to Tatooine in a way that is meaningful for an audience because it's not just there because it's one of a handful of planets that Luke has introduced. It's there because he goes back to Ben's hut and finds Ben's journals and goes through the process of making his own lightsaber.
Okay. Well, I have since we did this, that next week we do something similar with one of my favorite book series of recasting. They originally were supposed to make a movie or TV show of that. It was canceled. But to do a recasting of the original X-Wing book series.
Ooh. See, I've never read those, so that's going to be new for me.
Okay. I will get you the all the information on some of the main characters.
Yeah.
But it was it's a young adult. For those of you who don't remember, it was a young adult novel series based around, I think it was 7 books. There was Rogue Squadron, Wedge's Gamble, the Kratos Trap, the Back to War, Wraith Squadron, Iron Fist, Solo Command, Izar's Revenge, Starfighters of Adamar, and Mercy Kill was the last one in 2012. But we won't mess with that one, but because that takes place 12 years after the events of the original Rogue Squadron books.
Yeah.
But it deals with the capture of Coruscant. It explains how the rebels were able to capture Coruscant, and kind of what happened in the old canon after the legends after the fall of the Empire and or at least the death of Palpatine and the splintering of the Imperial power. Some of my favorite characters.
I did just have a beautiful idea with regards to a potential director for Shadows of the Empire.
Okay.
If they wanted to go with someone who's already directed something that's Star Wars related.
Yeah.
Gareth Edwards, who directed Rogue One, bring him back in because Rogue One was amazing.
Yeah.
Have him direct Shadows of the Empire.
Oh. You just made me happy. And on that note, Mr. Jones, why don't you tell us where people can find you?
Yeah, so you guys can find me on Instagram and Twitter or X at GKJ_publishing, where I post about my book series. I post about my YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is GKJ Publishing. On there, I have a show called The Right Way, where we talk book recommendations. We have author interviews, and I provide creative writing tips for my viewers. This month, I just had an episode go out this last Saturday. It was the holiday preview to kind of talk about what I've got coming up through the month of December, as well as what I have coming up throughout January. Too many J's. So it just kind of covers that. And then on the 16th of December, I will have the monthly episode, which will have all those content bits in there. So I'm looking forward to having it out for you guys in the next few weeks.
Okay. As for us right here, of course, you can email us warthestars1@gmail.com. There's also our handle on Twitter or X. All other social media is under War of the Stars. You can join our Facebook group or Instagram. Check us out on both of those places. We are, of course, available wherever fine podcasts are heard. We are a proud member of the GNN network. So let us know who you would cast in Shadows of the Empire. If you think our casting was good or if it was Bantha Voodoo, let us know. If you want to support the show, patreon.com/War of the Stars. Did I miss anything?
No, I don't think so. Do we have any promos or any ads that we want to plug really quick?
Nope, not that I can think of.
Well then, let's do our
as always, remember, this is not just my Star Wars. This is not just your Star Wars. This is our Star Wars. Until next time, may the Force be with you.
I'm one with the Force. The Force is with me.
#Justice for Wedge.